I want to thank Sinn Féin. I want to thank in particular Deputy O'Brien, because I understand he was the Special Rapporteur when the housing report was produced in 2017 as well. If I can start on a positive note, because it's difficult to remain positive with what we're facing here in terms of the cost, the negligence and the failure of successive governments. Let me start and welcome that the government is committed to interim reports, that the government is committed to bringing a memo in advance of the recess, which is next week, and that the government is committed to retrospective redress. I welcome all of that. Then I hear my Labour colleague talk about we don't want a political squabble. It's extremely important not to reduce this debate to a squabble, and it's particularly important to look at how this happened. I welcome the people in the gallery and also the people throughout Ireland who are listening and waiting to see. We need an urgent redress, 100% redress, retrospective, and as quickly as possible. So let's put this in perspective and not in the context of a political squabble. Successive governments have tolerated absolutely poor regulation, failure to monitor, failure to resource the local authorities, and a thumbs up to developers. My worry is that we're doing exactly the same thing all over again now, and we've learned nothing. So let me just quote from a presentation from a solicitor to that report, which was 2017. Now remember, we're now 5 years later after the report, and we're a year and a bit after the working report was given by, and I want to thank both for their work. And this solicitor said, Irish law is stacked against homeowners who discover defects. It is unclear in a number of important respects the law is with regard to remedies for building defects. She's a specialist construction lawyer, and she made her time available to the committee. And she points out that these problems are not new. Now, this is 2017. The Law Reform Commission described them in 1977 and again in 1982 in a report that included the Defective Premises Bill. And she goes on to elaborate, and then she points out that the bill was never passed. And they go on to quote from the Law Reform Commission of 82, and she said, this response was made in response to the suggestion that increased protection for consumers would increase the cost of houses. The Commission, the Law Reform Commission, stated, economies achieved at the expense of defective building work were not in the interest of purchasers or lessees of houses. That's 1982. And we're now looking at the report from the working group. And after their year-long working, they tell us there is no single cause of the defects. They arise due to a variety. And as somebody who had a father who worked all his life and ended up as a small builder, an absolute perfectionist, it makes me ill to read this. They tend to arise due to a variety of design, product, supervision, inspection and workmanship issues occurring either in isolation or in various combinations. And we go on to find out from both reports that the utter failure to inspect and to regulate. And to go back to something that one of the Social Democrat TDs said, what have we learned? Where are we at? Can any minister, junior or senior, tell us what you have now learned in terms of inspection? What is the rate of inspection with each local authorities? What is the identified need for the number of people necessary to ensure that this never happens again? I've heard nothing, and we're going to be spending up to €2 billion now to pay, rightly so, the property owners and the people who have been affected, and up to 100,000 apartments and duplexes for a period of time from 91 to 2013, and we're now 22. And the government is clapping itself on the back that it's going to bring a memo to government before the Christmas. Look at that period of time, and I have no idea have things improved. From what I've read, they certainly haven't, and I'm extremely worried, and I repeat it, that we are now once again given the thumbs up to developers.